Imagine buying a brand new car at your local dealership. The paint is flawless, the seats still have protective covers, and the odometer shows only a few miles. But before that car ever reached the showroom, it may have traveled halfway around the world on one of the most remarkable ships ever built. Every single day, enormous vessels quietly cross the world's oceans carrying thousands of brand new vehicles. Not dozens, not hundreds, sometimes more than 7,000 cars on a single voyage. Sedans, SUVs, pickup trucks, buses, and even heavy construction equipment can all be transported inside one giant floating structure. From the outside, these ships don't look particularly unusual. They have tall, box-shaped hulls and plain white sides with very few windows. Compared to sleek cruise ships or colorful container vessels, they almost seem boring. But appearances can be incredibly misleading. Hidden behind those massive steel walls is something few people ever get to see. A floating multi-story parking garage stretching hundreds of meters from bow to stern. Inside are level after level of tightly organized vehicle decks, connected by internal ramps and designed with one purpose: moving wheeled cargo across entire oceans as efficiently and safely as possible. These incredible vessels are known as RoRo ships, short for roll-on, roll-off. The name comes from the way cargo is loaded. Instead of lifting vehicles with giant cranes, every car simply drives on board under its own power. At the destination, the process happens in reverse. The cars simply drive off. It sounds almost too simple, yet this simple idea completely transformed the global automotive industry. Before RoRo carriers became common, transporting vehicles across the ocean was a slow, expensive, and risky operation. Cars often had to be lifted individually by cranes, increasing both loading time and the chance of damage. Today, thousands of vehicles can be loaded in just a matter of hours. But fitting more than 7,000 cars inside a single ship is only part of the challenge. The real puzzle is making sure every vehicle fits perfectly, every deck remains balanced, and every car survives weeks at sea without moving even a few centimeters. To understand how that's possible, imagine slicing the ship in half like a giant architectural model. Instead of seeing empty cargo space, you discover floor after floor of parking decks stacked above one another. Some ships have more than a dozen levels, creating an astonishing amount of usable space inside the hull. Driving through these decks feels less like being on a ship, and more like navigating an underground parking garage. Long corridors stretch into the distance, illuminated by bright industrial lighting. Steel support beams frame every lane, while gentle ramps connect one deck to the next. Some decks aren't even fixed in place. Giant hydraulic systems can raise or lower entire sections of the ship's interior, allowing the same vessel to carry compact cars on one voyage and tall trucks or buses on the next. Every square meter has been engineered to maximize capacity, and every journey begins with an operation that looks almost like perfectly choreographed choreography. Thousands of vehicles arrive at the port, each one assigned to a precise location somewhere deep inside the ship. Within a few hours, what started as an empty steel structure will become one of the largest moving parking garages on Earth. Long before the ship reaches the port, computers are already calculating exactly where every single vehicle will be parked. This isn't simply about fitting as many cars on board as possible. It's a massive three-dimensional puzzle where every decision affects the ship's stability, loading speed, and unloading sequence at the destination. Engineers must consider the size and weight of every vehicle. A compact hatchback, a full-size pickup truck, and a city bus all require different amounts of space. Some vehicles are headed to the first port of call, while others won't leave the ship until weeks later on another continent. That means loading them in the wrong order could block hundreds of other vehicles and delay the entire operation. Once everything has been planned, the ship arrives at the terminal. Unlike a container ship surrounded by giant cranes, a RoRo carrier needs only one thing to begin loading: a massive steel ramp. At the stern of the vessel, hydraulic systems slowly lower the ramp until it meets the dock, transforming the ship into an extension of the road itself. Then the flow begins. One by one, brand new vehicles roll toward the entrance. Professional terminal drivers take the wheel, each responsible for moving dozens, sometimes hundreds, of cars during a single shift. They know the ship's interior almost by memory, navigating its maze of ramps and decks with incredible speed and precision. From above, the operation resembles a perfectly organized colony of ants. Streams of vehicles split into different directions, climb gently to higher decks, disappear into the ship, and reappear on another level before finally reaching their assigned parking space. Inside, There is no confusion, no traffic jam, and almost no wasted movement. Every turn has been planned. Every lane has a purpose. Every parking position has already been reserved. As the ship gradually fills, the empty steel decks transform into endless rows of perfectly aligned vehicles. In some places, the clearance between side mirrors is measured in just a few inches. It looks impossibly tight, yet experienced drivers position every car with remarkable accuracy. Parking the vehicles is only half the job. Before the ship can leave port, every single vehicle must be secured against one of the most unpredictable environments on Earth, the open ocean. At first glance, the cars appear to be sitting normally on their tires. In reality, each vehicle is locked firmly into place. Heavy-duty wheel chocks prevent the tires from rolling. Strong lashing straps or steel chains are attached to dedicated tie-down points on the vehicle and anchored directly into the deck. These restraints are carefully tensioned to keep the vehicle completely stationary. Even when the ship is battling heavy seas, the process is repeated thousands of times. Every car, every truck, every piece of equipment, nothing is left unsecured. Only after the final inspection confirms that every vehicle has been properly fastened does the enormous stern ramp begin to close. Massive hydraulic locks seal the opening, the mooring lines are released, and slowly, almost silently, the floating garage leaves the harbor and heads toward the open ocean. That's when the real test begins. Out in the middle of the ocean, the world changes completely. The calm waters of the harbor are now far behind, replaced by an endless horizon where weather can shift in a matter of hours. A clear blue sky can quickly disappear behind towering storm clouds, and gentle swells can grow into waves as high as a 4-story building. When people imagine thousands of cars inside a ship during a storm, they often picture vehicles sliding across the decks like toys. In reality, that almost never happens. The reason lies in the engineering hidden beneath the surface. Every RoRo carrier is carefully balanced long before it leaves port. Engineers know the exact weight and location of every vehicle on board. This information is fed into sophisticated computer systems that calculate the ship's center of gravity with incredible precision. But weight distribution is only part of the equation. Deep inside the hull are enormous ballast tanks, vast compartments that can be filled or emptied with seawater. By moving thousands of tons of water from one side of the ship to the other, the crew can adjust the vessel's balance and maintain stability as cargo, fuel, and sea conditions change throughout the voyage. Many modern RoRo ships also use stabilizer fins, large underwater surfaces that extend from the hull while the vessel is underway. Working much like the wings of an aircraft, but underwater they generate forces that reduce rolling and make the ship far more stable in rough seas. Even with these systems, the ocean is still in charge. Captains continuously monitor weather forecasts, satellite data, and wave conditions. If a powerful storm develops along the planned route, they often choose to sail hundreds of miles around it rather than through it. Although this increases the length of the voyage, it greatly improves safety for both the crew and the valuable cargo. Inside the ship, however, everything remains surprisingly quiet. There are no crashing containers or shifting vehicles. Long rows of brand new cars stand exactly where they were parked days earlier. The only signs of movement are the subtle creaks of the steel structure and the gentle vibration of the engines deep below the vehicle decks. It is an extraordinary sight, a floating parking garage carrying thousands of perfectly motionless vehicles, while the ocean outside is in constant motion. This remarkable level of protection is one of the main reasons why manufacturers trust RoRo ships with some of their most valuable cargo. Luxury sedans, high-performance sports cars, electric vehicles, heavy trucks, and even oversized construction machines can all arrive after weeks at sea, in virtually the same condition they left the factory. By the time the ship reaches the other side of the ocean, those vehicles have traveled thousands of miles without ever being driven on public roads. For most of them, the journey across the sea will actually be the longest part of their entire life before meeting their first owner. And when the coastline finally appears on the horizon, another carefully choreographed operation is about to begin. After days, and sometimes weeks, at sea, the ship finally approaches its destination. From a distance, the port looks almost peaceful. Tugboats guide the enormous vessel toward the dock while workers prepare the terminal for another carefully coordinated operation. What took thousands of people to manufacture and weeks to transport is now only minutes away from beginning the final stage of its journey. As soon as the ship is securely moored, the massive stern ramp slowly lowers until it touches the dock. The floating garage becomes a road once again, Within minutes, engines begin to start across multiple decks, one after another. Headlights illuminate the interior as professional terminal drivers climb into the vehicles. Then, almost like water flowing from a reservoir, the cars begin to move. From the outside, only a steady stream of vehicles emerges from the ship. But if you could look through the steel hull, you would witness an extraordinary scene. Cars are moving simultaneously across multiple levels, descending internal ramps in perfectly coordinated lines. Every driver follows a planned route. Every turn has already been calculated. There are no traffic jams, no confusion, and almost no wasted time. Thousands of vehicles that once filled every deck gradually disappear, until the enormous steel structure is almost empty again. For many people, this is the first time they realize that a ship can function like a giant multi-level parking garage. Yet the story of these vessels doesn't end here. As soon as the final vehicle leaves the ship, preparations for the next voyage begin almost immediately. Another loading plan is created. Another port is scheduled. Another ocean crossing awaits. The global automobile industry depends on this continuous cycle. Every year, millions of vehicles travel between continents aboard RoRo carriers. Without them, international car distribution would be dramatically slower, far more expensive, and much less efficient. Modern RoRo ships continue to evolve as well. Many of the newest vessels are powered by cleaner fuels such as liquefied natural